What if I told you that right now, as you're watching this, your brain is doing something that no other organ in your body does? It's cleaning itself. It's running a biological maintenance system so powerful, so precise, that scientists only discovered it existed about a decade ago. And when you don't sleep, that system doesn't just slow down, it turns against you. Your brain, the most complex object in the known universe, starts consuming itself. This isn't a metaphor. This isn't clickbait. This is what the science actually says. Let's start with something most people don't know. Your brain is dirty. Not figuratively, literally. Every single second, you are alive and thinking. Your brain cells are burning energy, firing signals, processing information. And like any machine that burns fuel, it produces waste. Toxic proteins, metabolic byproducts, cellular garbage that, if left sitting in your brain tissue, begins to poison it. Your body has a lymphatic system, a network of vessels that carries waste away from your organs and flushes it out. Your heart has it. Your lungs have it. But for over a century, scientists believed the brain was different. The brain, they thought, had no lymphatic system. It was sealed off from the rest of the body by something called the blood-brain barrier. So how did the brain clean itself? Nobody knew. Some scientists assumed it just didn't. Not really. Not properly. Then in 2013, a neuroscientist named Maiken Nedergaard at the University of Rochester made a discovery that changed everything. The brain has its own secret cleaning system, and it only runs while you sleep. She called it the glymphatic system. Think of it like a biological dishwasher hidden inside your skull. While you're awake, your brain cells are slightly swollen, pressed close together, as they handle the constant demands of conscious life. But the moment you fall into deep sleep, something remarkable happens. Those brain cells shrink by nearly 60%. Suddenly, the spaces between them open up, and cerebrospinal fluid, a clear liquid that surrounds your brain and spinal cord, rushes through those gaps like a pressure wash, sweeping out all the toxic waste that built up during the day. It flushes out a protein called beta-amyloid, another one called tau. Names that might not mean much to you right now, but they will in a moment. This cleansing process happens almost exclusively during deep sleep. During the day, the glymphatic system operates at maybe 5 to 10% of its nighttime capacity. Your brain simply cannot clean itself properly while you're conscious. It's like trying to mop the floor while 100 people are still walking on it. So what happens when you skip sleep? When you stay up for 1 night, 2 nights, 3? The mop never comes out. The floor gets dirtier. And the garbage, those toxic proteins, starts piling up inside your brain tissue. Now, here's where it gets darker. Beta-amyloid and tau aren't just harmless waste products. They are the exact same proteins found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients, in massive, devastating quantities. Hardened into plaques and tangles that strangle neurons, destroy memory, and dismantle a person's identity piece by piece until nothing recognizable remains. After just 1 night of sleep deprivation, measurable increases in beta-amyloid show up in the human brain. Scientists at the National Institutes of Health ran a study where they kept healthy adults awake for just 31 hours, barely a day and a half, and then scanned their brains. Beta-amyloid had accumulated significantly in the thalamus, in the hippocampus, 2 of the most critical regions for memory and cognitive function. 1 night. That's all it takes to start the buildup. And here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. This process appears to be partially irreversible. You cannot simply sleep it off after the fact. The brain can clear some of the backlog with recovery sleep, but research suggests that chronic sleep deprivation, the kind most adults in the modern world practice without realizing, creates a slow accumulation of damage that compounds over years, over decades. Scientists now believe that poor sleep isn't just a symptom of Alzheimer's disease. It may be one of its primary causes, but Alzheimer's is the long game. Let's talk about what sleep deprivation does to you right now. After 24 hours without sleep, your cognitive performance is equivalent to someone with a blood alcohol level of 0.10%. That's legally drunk in every country on Earth. Your reaction time slows. Your ability to make decisions collapses. Your emotional regulation, the part of you that keeps you from saying things you regret, from making impulsive choices, from overreacting, begins to fall apart. And here's the cruel irony. After 24 hours without sleep, most people report feeling fine, maybe a little tired, not impaired, not dangerously compromised. But the brain scans don't lie. The performance tests don't lie. You feel okay because the part of your brain responsible for accurately assessing your own impairment is one of the first parts to go offline. You don't know how broken you are because the broken part of you is in charge of checking. After 48 hours, the brain begins to do something truly alarming. It starts micro-sleeping. Without your permission, without your awareness. For between half a second and 30 full seconds, your brain simply switches off, even while your eyes are open, even while you're sitting in a chair, holding a conversation, or driving a car. You're unconscious, and you don't know it. People have died because of microsleep. Trains have crashed. Planes have gone down. And the person responsible had no memory of the moment it happened because they were asleep. The brain is not asking for your permission anymore. It is taking what it needs. After 72 hours, 3 days without sleep, something shifts in the brain that moves beyond tiredness into territory that psychiatrists would classify as a medical emergency. The most famous documented case is Randy Gardner, a 17-year-old high school student who in 1964 stayed awake for 11 days and 25 minutes as part of a science fair experiment. The project was supervised by Stanford sleep researcher William Dement, and what they observed was methodically, carefully recorded. By day 3, Randy was experiencing mood swings so severe he could barely function. By day 4, he was hallucinating. He looked at a street sign and saw a person standing there. He hallucinated that he was a famous football player. By day 6, his speech had slowed. He couldn't complete sentences. He had forgotten, in real time, things that had happened minutes before. By day 10, his face was expressionless. His thinking had fragmented. He was present in body, but somewhere far away in mind. He recovered after sleeping for nearly 15 hours. But neuroscientists debate to this day how much of that recovery was real and how much of the damage had quietly settled in permanently. Now here's something that almost nobody talks about. Something that changes the entire way you should think about sleep. While the glymphatic system is running its nightly flush, while it's clearing beta-amyloid and tissue from your brain tissue, it is also bathing your neurons in something else. Growth factors. Restorative chemicals. The brain uses deep sleep not just to clean, but to repair. Myelin, the insulating sheath around your nerve cells that makes them fire faster and more accurately, is produced during sleep. Memories are not just stored during sleep. They are consolidated, transferred from short-term to long-term storage. connected to existing knowledge, processed for emotional weight. Sleep is not passive downtime. Sleep is when your brain does its most important work. When you cut it short, you're not just missing rest. You're canceling a biological process that cannot be rescheduled. The work simply doesn't happen. The memories don't consolidate. The myelin doesn't form. The waste doesn't clear. And each night you do this, the deficit grows. The world record for confirmed sleeplessness in a human being is Randy Gardner's 11 days. But in the animal kingdom, the consequences of total sleep deprivation have been studied more brutally. In the 1980s, researchers at the University of Chicago kept rats completely awake using a rotating disc mechanism. Every time a rat began to fall asleep, the disc moved and woke it up. Within 2 to 3 weeks, every single rat was dead. But here's what was strange. The autopsies showed no clear cause of death, no organ failure, no specific disease. The rats' immune systems had collapsed. Their metabolisms had gone haywire. They ate constantly but lost weight. Their internal temperature regulation failed, and their brains showed signs of what can only be described as cellular self-destruction. The brain, deprived long enough of the ability to clean and restore itself, had begun to turn on its own tissue. This is not your brain eating itself as a metaphor. This is a measurable, documented, biological process called autophagy, a word that literally means self-eating, in which the brain's immune cells, called microglia, begin to consume not just dead cellular waste, but healthy synapses, healthy connections. In a sleep-deprived brain, a study from the March Polytechnic University in Italy found that microglial cells were significantly more active, not in a helpful way, but in an aggressive, destructive way, devouring the brain's own architecture. They found this in mouse brains after chronic sleep deprivation, and the mice never fully recovered, even after sleep was restored. So what does this all mean? It means sleep is not a luxury. It is not laziness. It is not something you can hack, compress, or optimize away. It is a non-negotiable biological necessity that evolution has spent hundreds of millions of years perfecting. Because without it, the brain destroys itself. Every hour of sleep you lose is an hour the glymphatic system goes offline. Every night you cut short is a little more beta-amyloid left sitting in your brain tissue. Every chronic late night is a small, invisible tax on your future cognitive self. The brain is the most extraordinary thing in the known universe. It writes symphonies and solves equations and falls in love and asks questions about its own existence. And every single night, it needs you to do one thing: to stop, to go dark, to let it do the work you will never see, never feel, never remember. Because in the silence of sleep, your brain is not resting, it is saving itself. And now that you know what's happening inside your skull every night, will you ever think about skipping sleep the same way again?